legend, Davy Crockett, fists clenched, rifle blazing, dying in a storm of gunfire at the Alamo. A martyr's death for Texan freedom. But what if it never happened? What if America's most iconic frontier hero met a fate so shocking, so politically explosive, that the truth was buried for 140 years? Imagine this instead. Crockett, surrendering. A bombshell document surfaces in Mexico. It claims Crockett didn't fall fighting. It claims he was captured alive, dismissed as heresy, until an eyewitness report surfaces, days after the Alamo fell, buried in plain sight. Then, Sam Houston's own words, 7 men surrendered, 7, but no names given. Why? Now, picture the scene. The smoke clears. Crockett stands, unarmed, before Santa Anna. A Mexican general pleads for mercy. Santa Anna flicks his glove. A silent death sentence. Not 1, not 2, but 5 Mexican officers, men who stormed the Alamo, swear they saw it. Crockett, captured, executed in cold blood. Their testimonies, hidden in diaries and archives for decades, now scream the truth. This isn't conspiracy. This is evidence. Military logs, private letters, sworn testimonies from both sides of the war. Historians agree, the preponderance of proof is overwhelming. The myth is dead. So what really happened to Davy Crockett? The truth is more brutal than legend, and it rewrites history. Don't look away. This isn't conspiracy, but before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. So there is no doubt that he did fight with great honor and valor during those final hours. But there is another version of his death that seems to be corroborated to the point of being almost irrefutable as the true scenario of the events of March 6, 1836. This alternative account, long dismissed by traditionalists, has steadily gained traction among modern scholars. In 1955, a purported memoir from Mexico had the audacity to claim that Crockett surrendered rather than dying in battle. That version of the story was treated as only blasphemous hearsay for decades until it was translated into English in 1975, prompting renewed scrutiny. As historians started looking at corroborating evidence, including overlooked military logs and private letters, the story began to change fundamentally. One of the first official reports coming after the battle came from Sam Houston on March 11, 1836, and said as follows, quote, "After the fort was carried, 7 men surrendered and called for Santa Anna and quarter," end quote. Houston did not specifically name Crockett, likely avoiding controversy early in the Texan campaign, however. Newspaper articles soon after the battle reported that a group of defenders did indeed surrender against impossible odds. The Morning Courier and New York Enquirer reported on July 9, 1836, quote, 6 Americans were discovered near the wall, yet unconquered. Undaunted, Davy Crockett stepped forward to face General Santa Anna and looked at him steadfastly in the face. A final act of defiance, end quote. The survivor's captor, Manuel Fernandez Castrillon, asked Santa Anna how he wished to proceed, pleading for mercy. The Mexican commander replied coldly, "Have I not told you before how to dispose of them?" Several junior officers pulled their swords and swiftly and cruelly plunged the blades into the chests of the defenseless prisoners. This brutal act, witnessed by multiple soldiers, became a stain on the campaign. There are other accounts from Mexican witnesses that align hauntingly. Ramon Martinez Caro, Santa Anna's personal secretary, reported in an 1837 pamphlet that, quote, "There were 5 who were discovered by General Castrillon, while soldiers stepped out of their ranks and set upon prisoners until they were all killed, showing no quarter," end quote. José Enrique de la Pena's memoir offers a somewhat different version, quote, "Some 7 men had survived the general carnage amid the chapel's smoldering ruins and under the protection of General Castrillon. They were brought before Santa Anna in a tense courtyard confrontation. Among them was the frontier legend Davy Crockett, well known in North America for his unusual adventures and coonskin cap. Santa Anna answered Castrillon's intervention in Crockett's behalf with a gesture of indignation, a sharp flick of his glove, and addressing himself to the aides closest to him, ordered their immediate execution. The commanders and officers present were outraged at this action and did not support the order, some even turning away in disgust, but several ambitious officers who were around the president, eager to prove loyalty, and who perhaps had not been present during the bloodiest moments of danger, thrust themselves forward, and with swords in hand fell upon these unfortunate defenseless men just as a tiger leaps upon his prey. Though tortured mercilessly before they were killed, these unfortunates died without complaining, maintaining silent dignity and without humiliating themselves before their torturers." End quote. Dan Kilgore, author of How Did Davy Die, concludes, quote, 4 officers and a sergeant, all of whom participated in the assault and observed the final tragedy, specifically identified Crockett as one of the captives with chilling consistency. Their accounts have come to light over 6 decades through fragmented diaries and sworn testimonies, several having surfaced only recently from dusty archives. Any one of them standing alone could be subject to question due to faded memories or bias, but considered as a whole, the statements provide stronger documentation than can be claimed for any other incident during the battle." End quote. Simply put, the preponderance of evidence from both sides of the conflict strongly suggests that David Crockett was indeed captured alive in the aftermath of the battle at the Alamo and was cruelly and unceremoniously murdered without trial at the command of the Mexican general Santa Anna. James Shackford, in his book David Crockett, has most succinctly and eloquently summarized the essence of Mr. Crockett's legacy as follows, quote, "Too much has been made over the details of how David died at the Alamo, debates that rage still. Such details are not important in the grand tapestry of history. What is important is that he died as he had lived. His life was one of indomitable bravery against wilderness and war. His death was a death of intrepid courage before a tyrant. His life was one of wholehearted dedication to his concepts of liberty that defined a young nation. He died staking his life against what he regarded as intolerable tyranny, becoming immortal not in how he fell, but why he stood." End quote. So, the king of the wild frontier didn't die rifle in hand on the Alamo ramparts. He stood unarmed in the ashes, stared down a tyrant, and was slaughtered for it. History sold us a martyrdom, but truth gave us a sacrifice. Why did this truth vanish for 140 years? Was it embarrassment, politics, or the bitter reality that heroes don't always die in glory? Sometimes they die on their knees, yet still defiant to the last breath. 5 Mexican officers swore they saw it. Sam Houston hinted at it. Newspapers printed it, then forgot it. The evidence didn't disappear. It was ignored, buried because it didn't fit the legend we needed to hear. But legends aren't history. History is messy, brutal, and far more human. Davy Crockett didn't just die at the Alamo. He was executed, and that changes everything, not his courage, but ours. Can we handle a hero who surrendered, or does that make his final stand silent, dignified, facing death without a weapon? The bravest act of all? They killed the man. But why erase the truth? Don't let history be written by the winners. Question everything, especially the stories we call heroic.